Agnes Barabara was in the house when she heard people outside screaming fire, so she leaves to go find out what's going on. When she goes out, she sees her neighbor running towards her house on fire, screaming for help. So Agnes gets to calling out for help and trying to find some water when a man runs towards the victim and douses the victim with a liquid which we later come to find out is petrol. The victim is 33-year-old Ugandan athlete Rebecca Cheptegei, we'll call her Rebecca. The assailant is her 32-year-old ex-boyfriend Dixon Ndiema. My name is Naomi Ngendo, and let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit more on who Rebecca was. So according to Rebecca's mother, Rebecca was a kind-hearted and a generally good child. The thing with Rebecca is she always knew she wanted to be an athlete. So she worked so hard to achieve this dream. When she began her career, she decided to join the Uganda People's Defense Forces, where she rose the ranks and became a sergeant. She was actually born in Kenya, but when the opportunities to pursue her career weren't in Kenya, she decided to go to Uganda, where she got the opportunities she was hoping for. Rebecca had done so much throughout her career, and some of her most memorable performances were in the 2022 inaugural World Mountain and Trail Running Championships in Thailand, where she won a gold medal. She also took part in the 2022 Padova Marathon in Italy, and she won another gold medal. She had just come back from the 2024 Olympics in Paris, which was her debut, and she placed 44th in the marathon. People in her home area used to refer to Rebecca as champion because she came from a community where when one person does well, especially on such a global level, then there's this sense of pride throughout the community. Most people did not know that while her career was going well, her personal life was not that great. Conflict between her and Dixon began last year in 2023. According to Rebecca's brother, the main reason was money issues. At one point, Dixon asked Rebecca, "What do you do with all the money that you make?" Also, according to local police, some reports on domestic disputes had been filed, but then they were later withdrawn. Also, they believe that conflict over a piece of land is what led to the ambush. So on September 1st, Rebecca and two of her daughters aged 9 and 11 went to church, and this is when Dixon snuck into her house, and with him he carried a 5-liter jerrycan full of petrol and just waited for them to come back. When Rebecca and her daughters came back from church, they found Emma, and this is when they argued, and he went ahead and doused her with petrol and set her ablaze. The daughters witnessed the attack, and one of them says that she tried to help her mother, but she was immediately kicked out by Dixon. He says, "I immediately cried out for help, attracting a neighbor who tried to extinguish the flames with water, but it was not possible." Rebecca was rushed to the ICU with 80% of her body terribly burned, and she sadly succumbed to her injuries 5 days later. As for Dixon, he too passed away since, as he was attacking Rebecca, some of the petrol splashed onto him and he sustained burns. Pastor Caroline, she is a pastor for the church where Rebecca and her two children had attended that day. She says that she had managed to speak to Rebecca while she was still in hospital. But the first thing Rebecca did was ask about her children. She was worried about the children and she wanted to know how they were doing. Then on her attacker, she said, "You mean Dixon is not able to see all that I have done for him? He could not remember even one or two things that I have done for him and stopped setting me on fire. Why has he done this to me?" One of Rebecca's friends visited her in hospital and she was hopeful that she would get better, but later she received a call that said Rebecca had died. She says that Rebecca had been so good to her friends and she was just a lovely, good person. Rebecca received a military funeral since she was a sergeant in the Uganda's army, and thousands of people showed up to pay their respects. Rebecca's former partner says that he is extremely saddened by what happened to Rebecca, and as a children's father, it has been very difficult for him. Rebecca's father has been so distraught since all this happened, and he has been the most vocal. He says that they have lost their breadwinner. He says he has never seen such an inhumane act. He says that he is mostly worried about the girl's education since Rebecca was the support system. Rebecca took care of her family, her siblings, her children, and the impact of her death is felt way beyond her immediate family and friends. Paris did pay tribute to Rebecca. During the 2024 Paralympics, they aired her eulogy and they displayed her photo on the big screen. Rebecca is the third athlete to be killed in Kenya in the last 3 years due to domestic disputes. Olympic runner Agnes Tirop was stabbed in the neck in 2021 by her husband. She was 25 years old. Months later, Damaris Mutua was strangled with a pillow on her face by her boyfriend. On 13th September, dozens of athletes held a procession as they escorted Rebecca's casket to her parents' home, and they made a call to the end of gender-based violence. There is an organization in Kenya called Tirop's Angels, and it was founded after Agnes Tirop was found stabbed in the neck by her husband a month after she had set a world record in Germany. The organization was founded by female athletes and her family to stand against gender-based violence. One of the founding members of Tirop's Angels, her name is Chelimo, she says, "We are in deep mourning again. Losing one of us just weeks after racing together in Paris is still unbelievable." Chelimo says that it is actually a cultural problem among athletes. She says, "It is widely known that there is a lot of manipulation from our partners, coaches, and other support staff once we, as female athletes, start earning from our races." Also says, "It's sad that women who are independent and financially stable tend to become victims and their lives at risk." And that is the story of Rebecca Cheptegei, a Ugandan athlete who was set on fire by her ex-boyfriend. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.